So, hello there everyone, and welcome. It is Niran here, and today it is time for me to bring you the FIFA 20 Career Mode cheat code. Every year there is something in FIFA Career Mode that just makes the game so much easier. It makes it easier to do well, it makes it easier to sign players, whatever it may be. If you use it enough, it just becomes a complete and utter cheat code, and I am going to be bringing that to you in today's video. If you're going to enjoy this one, then slap a like on it, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. It's the big red button under the video. It massively helps me out. And obviously you can expect loads of stupid and generally ridiculous career mode and FIFA content in the coming months. So make sure to go ahead and do that. But moving on to the cheat code. What is it, Niran? Obviously a couple of years ago, release clauses were added to FIFA career mode, and they were a great addition. General contract clauses, buyback, sell-on clauses have been a big part of football and transfers in the last sort of 5 to 10 years. So it took a little bit of time, but it was nice to see release clauses added to the game. It would be great to see like buyback clauses and loan to buy clauses added in the future. But for now, at least we can accept the fact that we've got release ones. However, with that new feature comes somewhat of an exploitation, because when young players have release clauses at the start of their careers, they're extremely low. I'm talking, you know, if a player's got like 65 overall, but a ridiculously high potential at 88, despite the fact they can grow to 88, they're only going to have a release clause of say 2 or 3 million pounds. That's because at the time that they've been given that release clause, that is so over what they are actually worth that it seems like a good idea to the club. However, as that player grows and grows, that valuation obviously is way too low. And AI teams then don't really have the intelligence to start handing out new contracts or raising those release clauses. So basically they end up keeping those ridiculously low valuations on their release clauses until they're bought or loaned out. So here on my transfer hub, we have a list of just a ridiculous amount of players who have all got release clauses. Now we've randomly landed on Carlos Alenya here, who's 83 overall, can play as a centre mid, right winger, and as an attacking mid. He's 24 years of age. That's because we are currently in season 4. Obviously you've got to kind of go through a few seasons for this to work. The whole premise of this is that you get to a point where players are outgrowing what their actual release clause was. So they're obviously not going to have done that in season number 1. You are going to have to wait 2 seasons, I guess, to actually make this work. So as you can see here, Carlos Alenya's got a release clause of £23.6 million. However, if you were actually going to go buy him, you'd have to pay £32.3 million, or potentially even as much as 47, which is twice as much as that release clause is. A worldie of an example in terms of really cheap players is Nicolo Armini. He's got a potential to grow to roughly 82 or 83. Obviously, with dynamic potential, you could grow him even more. He has an overall at this point of 73, not massively high, but he is only 21, so he's going to grow a lot from there. His release clause is only £2.5 million. Even now, he's worth as much as 9 mil. Realistically, if Lazio kept hold of him, they're not going to offer him any sort of new contract. So unless he joins someone else, he is not going to lose that release clause. As long as he's at Lazio, he will have a release clause of 2.5 mil. If you want to wait till he's already hit his potential, like you say 84, 85 overall, you could genuinely sign someone who's worth 40 or 50 million pounds for 2.5 million. There's so many players you can do this with, and you can sign players for half, a third, a quarter, even like a tenth of what they're actually worth if you are like patient enough. Now obviously on old school FIFAs it might have been difficult to do this. You'd have actually had to actively search for each player and see whether they had a release clause. These days you don't actually have to do that. If we reset the transfers here, go over to status, got free agents to the left, and then release clause, and you can search for any player on the game who has a release clause. You're obviously mainly looking for young players. Anyone who's above the age of 23 probably isn't going to outgrow their release clause particularly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a team of these guys and show you just how much of a good side you can make just from players who have release clauses, because honestly it's an absolute joke. First of all, here we've got Kai Havertz, who has a release clause of £78 million, but if we wanted to buy him, we could have to offer 168.7. That is disgusting. Bayer Leverkusen, why don't you just give him a new contract, for crying out loud? As you can see, once you press approach to buy, you can just say yes, pay, and skip club negotiations. I don't know why you'd want to begin the negotiations with the club. That doesn't seem to make any sense. But from that point, all you got to do is just sort of negotiate contract details. So we're going to delegate it. In this case, the assistant manager can deal with it, and there you go. It's as simple as that. You've got to press about 3 buttons in order to do this. João João Felix is yet another one approached to buy. Pay and skip club negotiations, £66.9 million for him. He's 89 overall at the moment, has a potential to grow to 93. His valuation was between 120 and 150 million pounds. Once again, saving roughly 70 mil. Lautaro Martinez here as well has got a release clause, which is half the price of the upper boundary of his. So we're going to go ahead, approach to buy, pay and skip club negotiations, and he's available. Delegate contract offer, simple as that. Another super high profile one is Vinicius Jr., who can grow to 92 in career mode. He's only 87 right now, 22 years of age from Real Madrid. Once again, if you want to risk it, you can always leave it a little bit longer. You can get a bit more of a better value for money deal, but that value is always going to stay the same at 54.8 million. You can go ahead, approach to buy. Obviously, he's worth between 78 and 115, I think that said. We're paying considerably less. Now, if you're wondering about who gets release clauses, what I can tell, it is kind of random at the start of a game save. I think there are certain players who are more likely to have a release clause than others, but they're not guaranteed to have one every single time. What is guaranteed, though, is the valuation. If David Neres has a release clause at the start of a career mode save, it will always be £31.7 million. If Vinicius Jr. has one, it will always be 54.8. If João Felix has one, it will always be 66.9. But then the actual chance of them having one isn't 100% every time from what I can tell. So you might get a little bit luckier in certain saves than in others. You might get like more 87 plus rated players than I've got here. In terms of that sort of boundary, I've only got Vinicius Jr., Lautaro Martinez, Felix, and Havertz. That is a ridiculously good set of players, but you might get 5 or 6, 7 or 8 even. I think in terms of some of the most extreme ones here, we've got Jan Fita Arp, whose release clause is £3.4 million, but if we were to actually buy him, it would be 20 mil. Pietro Pellegrini is similar as well. Release clause of £3.5 million, valuation of 15.2. And Fabio Silva as well, who's 16 at the start of a career mode save. Release clause of £4.2 million, valuation of between 10 and 15. So as you can see, the first lot of players have come through. João Felix, Lautaro Martinez, Ferro of Benfica, Carlos Alenia, and Junior Firpo are all going to be coming in on cut price deals. So here you go, the overall side that we managed to create just using players whose release clauses were far too low for their valuation. It's really not that bad at all. Vinicius Jr., 87, but with a potential of 92. Lautaro Martinez, 88, but with a potential of 89. João Felix, 89, with a potential of 93. David Neres, Havertz, and Alenia, who can all grow a lot. Militao, who can get to 88. Armini, who obviously is the weak link right now, but can grow to 84, 85. Ferro, who's still got a little bit more room for growth, 83 at 25 years of age. Junior Firpo as well can also grow at that sort of age. The only thing we didn't do was bring in a goalkeeper. I could have done that, but the player that I was going to signed for someone else, literally as I was about to sign him. It was Miles Vilar, who plays for Benfica. He was only 79 rated, to be fair, but it would have been for £3 million, so it would have been a ridiculously good bargain. However, he chose to go somewhere else. So we are left with the only 92 rated Alisson, but he was already here, so it's a bit of a cheat, really. But as you can see, I mean, the team that you can build is ridiculous, and this is this team without even reaching its full potential. I mean, it's going to be absolutely disgusting. You're going to have like maybe 5 players above 90, especially with dynamic potential. If you were to play these guys all the time, Felix will probably get to 95, Vinicius probably the same, Havertz maybe 93 or 94, Neres to 90, Martinez to 90. This team would be absolutely grim, is what I'm trying to tell you. And it's mental because you can sign them for such a cheap price in comparison to what their valuations are. In the background, I'll have what I actually signed these guys for. So the actual total that this team came to in this career mode save. And then now I'll have on the screen what it actually would have been if we'd signed them without the release clauses. And as you can see, it is a ridiculous difference. So if you are strapped for cash, if you are struggling for money in a career mode save and you're 2 or 3 seasons in, this is by far the best thing to do. Search for players with release clauses that are kind of young. Obviously, by 3rd season, you'll be wanting to search between sort of 16 and 25-year-olds. But if you're doing this in the 1st season, go for anyone who's 22 or below. Those are the guys that are going to outgrow their valuation and overall be really good value for money when you sign them using their release clause. I hope, though, you found this video helpful, and if you have, then slap a like on it and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Let me know down in the comments section what other cheats you have for FIFA 20 career mode. I'd love to hear them. And whilst you're down there, let me know what players you've managed to sign before using this release clause trick in order to get players for a ridiculously low value. You can also follow me on social media as well. It's at the official FNG on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.